One of the most common questions I get is, how do I get off statins? Can I just go cold turkey? That's this week's topic. Stay tuned. The first thing I want to do before we get started is to give this caveat. On that screen that you just ignored and waited for it to pass by or skipped ahead, there is this warning. In particular, never change dosage, stop taking medications, or change therapy because of something presented in this series without discussing your options with your primary care physician or other health professional. I really mean that. Your doctor knows your individual situation and may know about circumstances special to you that in a general video like this we just can't cover. There are conditions that even a statin hesitant doctor might consider a good enough reason to put you on statins. This is especially true of patients on secondary prevention, those with existing cardiovascular disease or a history of cardiovascular events. There was a study reported in the Annals of Internal Medicine about people who had stopped taking statins, and what they found was that patients who stopped taking statins had a 1.7% absolute increase for cardiovascular events, which was about a relative increase of 12%. This study was really amazing, and what I found amazing about it was that it was considered somehow to be startling. All it really showed is that the population risk for patients who stop taking statins returns to their baseline level. Notice that 7 out of 8 people who would have a cardiovascular event if they stopped taking their statins would have had that cardiovascular event anyway if they had continued to take the statin. It's something I keep emphasizing in these videos. It's something we really need to understand. In this case, the relative risk reduction was really only about 1 out of 8. This study confirms that while statins may be statistically effective, like from an insurance company's point of view, they don't actually fix anything in the way, for example, an antibiotic taken for an infection might. You take the antibiotic, the infection goes away, you make sure you run the whole course of antibiotics, and problem is hopefully solved. That's not the case with statins. The fact that when you stop taking them, you may return to the baseline risk, and I say you, the group of patients returns to the baseline cardiovascular risk, it's consistent with why they tell you, well, you have to take these for the rest of your life. They're not fixing anything, they're just kind of controlling it as you go along. There's little or no residual benefit once you're no longer on them. And again, the benefit while you are on them, in my mind, is quite small. So there's the matter of statin withdrawal symptoms. They're under-recognized phenomenon that many doctors deny completely, or they'll at least say, oh, I never heard of that. Yet Dr. Beatrice, I would call her a statin hesitant researcher, explains the condition this way in an interview that she had with Dr. Josef Witt-Doerring, and you can find that interview by following the link in the description. This is what she said. I think statins have both pro-oxidant and antioxidant effects, and that the antioxidant effects can go away first, so it can leave a period of vulnerability where people can actually worsen their statin side effects by stopping the statin. That's really exactly what I experienced. If you've seen my other videos, I talk about that. And I wasn't even intentionally withdrawing, and I didn't even originally associate the intensification of the adverse effects with statins. Only looking back, I said, oh wow, that's what was happening. She goes on to say that she recommends to patients who are stopping statins that they start taking CoQ10 a few weeks before stopping and continue for at least 2 months afterwards. Now you can find this sentiment in the paper that I reviewed about when doctors take statins. If you follow the links there, you can get to the paper. She describes this in slightly more detail in that paper. She has found that this is something that occasionally does happen when patients get off statins. So I have this little withdrawal protocol that I'm going to share with us now. First of all, for primary prevention patients mostly, if you're in secondary prevention, you're really in a whole different ballgame, and you really need to work far more closely with your doctor. And if you just can't take statins, you may have to take some other sorts of therapies to keep your risk down. That's for secondary prevention. For primary prevention, first, as I said earlier, consult your primary care physician or other medical professional to make sure that there's no reason for you to not stop, other than they're going to be panicking about it because, oh, you're raising your risk. Well, how much are you raising your risk? You can narrow that down and agree that your values say it's not worth me taking this medication, which may have adverse effects you may be experiencing, for the little risk reduction that you'll experience, and then maybe you can get them to agree. Start CoQ10 supplementation as Dr. Golomb recommended. I suggest the ubiquinol form, maybe 200, 400 milligrams per day. That's what I was taking 2 weeks before and at least 2 months afterwards. Now, it's interesting because the times I withdrew from statins by accident, or at least unintentionally, when I'd gone out hiking in the Grand Canyon, for example, and I had the withdrawal effects, I wasn't taking CoQ10 supplementation. Well, the last time when I got off them for good, I just happened to be taking CoQ10 because I had been feeling muscle pains when I was on pitavastatin, and I didn't have those withdrawal effects. So this may very well work to reduce the possibility of those withdrawal symptoms for people who, like myself, are susceptible to them. And then finally, this is just my recommendation. Sure, taper off maybe for a week. Take it every other day or cut the dose in half. Take it daily at half dose before getting off completely, just to give your body a chance to adjust to lower doses or lower frequencies. So for my closing thoughts, everybody's experience with getting off statins will be different, and getting off them is a safer proposition for people at low risk, those on primary prevention, than it is for those who have known cardiovascular disease and are on secondary prevention. In my opinion, if you're in primary prevention, you really should question your doctor about why you're on the statin in the first place, especially if you're serious about reducing your cardiovascular risks through lifestyle enhancements and given the low risk reduction that you're likely to get from them. So that's what I have on this topic. If you appreciate this content, please like, share, subscribe, and comment on this topic or others you'd like me to cover. And if you haven't seen this video, I recommend you take a look at it now. Thanks for listening.